there. I am Sarah Colas. Welcome to the Dressing Up podcast, where we talk about all things bridal, dresses, and general dressing up topics. I love to encourage women to dress up while expressing their personal style with confidence on how to do so. Visit sarahcolas.com to book a bridal alterations fitting or even inquire about designing the custom couture bridal gown of your dreams. I'm so excited to talk to you about this next topic. Let's get started. Hi, everyone. I have been interviewing some fabulous women lately. As you know, I started doing this bride series just recently. So I've been doing interview after interview with lots of the brides that I've worked with in the past, and it has been so much fun. I love getting to see people after their wedding, hear about how their lives are going post-wedding, and just reminisce about that special day. So today we are featuring brides Alexa, Emily, and Stephanie. So bride Alexa and I go through and discuss how her wedding went and how to try and stay calm while wedding planning and also embracing those special moments as they come. Bride Emily and I worked on some very special projects together, so be sure to listen to that. And then she also mentions this really fun, spontaneous, special moment that happened on her wedding day. And then last but not least, we have bride Stephanie. She's the sweetest bride. She got married in New Orleans. So how cool is that? We talk about how to handle when things go wrong on your wedding day. As we all know, no wedding can go absolutely perfectly. So things will come up. So her and I really talk about that and how to fully embrace the happiest moments on your wedding day. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with bride Alexa. All right. Hello, Miss Alexa. Do you want to introduce yourself and let us know what you've been up to lately?
I'm Alexa. I'm 26. I just got married in October. I'm an optometrist and I like hanging out with my husband and reading and baking.
Your husband.
My husband.
Yay. Congrats to that.
Thank you.
You just got married just recently.
Yeah.
So exciting. It was at the Colony Club, right?
Yeah.
I bet that was gorgeous.
Yeah, it was perfection. And the food was good and the drinks were good. And we had the same waitress from our tasting. So she came up to us and we hugged her. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute.
Yeah.
Oh, it probably made her day. Okay, so we're just going to dive into it. This is the Dressing Up podcast after all. So it's not all bridal all the time, right? Even though it tends to be often. But I do want to ask you just a fashion related question. And that is, what is your favorite item in your closet right now?
I have one really, really good pair of good fitting jeans from Abercrombie.
Yes.
And I wear them every time I have a chance to wear jeans and they just make everything look good. So I have to say it's my favorite. Right now.
What style jean is it?
They're the mid-rise 90 straight.
I've tried those on.
Those
are nice.
Yeah, because high-rise goes up to high. So mid-rise is like a high-rise.
Yeah.
That's the best.
That's great. Okay. Thinking back to your wedding day, if you could relive one moment, when would that be?
I think I would relive during our first dance. There was 3 moves that we choreographed during part of the part where we were just looking at each other and we were literally looking in each other's eyes and we were like, this is our wedding. This is our first dance. I know.
It's so cute.
It was so cute. I would redo it again and again.
Yeah.
It was just so surreal after all the planning.
Everyone's standing around you and all that.
And you're literally we're doing our first dance. This is really happening. Yeah. That was so cute.
Oh, I love that. Oh, that's awesome. What has been the most challenging aspect of wedding planning?
I think delegating to other people was hard for me.
Yes.
I like to do everything myself. And I'm very type A. And so delegating and letting people help me and asking people hey, can you help me with this? Or I could have someone pick this up or do that was hard because A, I felt like I was annoying people and putting a burden on them, and B, I was I can do it myself, even if it means I don't sleep, I can technically do it. So I feel like that was the hardest part, when it could have been a lot easier if I just asked people for help when I needed it.
Yes, I totally understand that. I feel like it's hard to come up with things for people to do that doesn't, by the time you explain it to them or give them all the things that they need to execute, the same amount of time you could just do it yourself. But yeah, when you can delegate, or even on the wedding day, simple things like having so-and-so transport the veil to the ceremony space. Somebody has to do that. So telling people in advance. I've got all kinds of ideas like that, but that is very important to stay sane as a bride on your wedding day. You have to have help.
For sure.
Can't do it all yourself.
Looking
you got to
back,
enjoy it.
I would have delegated a lot more.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Did you have a coordinator?
I did, yeah.
Okay, so they helped with
the
running the show of the wedding stuff.
Yeah. And there were so many things that came up day of that I didn't even think about, that she was we got it.
Yeah.
So I was that's necessary.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so talk about your wedding dress a little bit. Where did you get it from? What did it look like? all the things.
Okay, so I got it from Becker's Bridal. It was a Justin Alexander dress. I forgot the name of it. Maybe it was Estelle. And it was strapless, and then it was kind of form-fitting up top, and then is it ball gown?
Yeah.
Ball gownish.
Soft ball gown, yeah.
Yeah. And I actually bought it when I was like over 50 pounds heavier than I was when we altered it.
My goodness.
Yeah. And so it needed a lot of work to get it to like stay comfortable. So I didn't have to worry about adjusting or my chest coming out or anything. But it ended up being so perfect. So perfect. And remember how we said we were going to do it like I'd have to hold it?
Yeah.
So that we could zip it.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't even need that.
It didn't even need that?
I was
That's
so
good.
It was good, but I was so nervous I couldn't eat for like 3 days. So when the dress came,
it zipped right up.
I was like, okay, thank God we went a little smaller. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, yes. For those listening, she's referring to usually at the second appointment, especially with the strapless dress. I always remind people that it's very normal to need multiple people to zip you into a dress. And I make you aware of that so you don't feel like self-conscious on the wedding day when you need like a whole entourage. But you're saying it zipped up really good. So that's good. It takes the little stress off. That's awesome. And on the actual wedding day itself, how did you feel?
At first, we had, because we're Middle Eastern, we're Palestinian, we had a lot of like pre-ceremony activities. Like there was a thing at my house, a thing at his house. So before that, I was very, very nervous. The night before the rehearsal dinner, I wasn't nervous because I was with Daniel, because we didn't do a first look or anything. I didn't see him till the altar. I was very nervous. And there was even one point I called him just like hear his voice to calm down.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was his cousin's wife idea, Lauren.
Oh,
and she would like take my phone, call Daniel. And as soon as I did, I felt better. So up until seeing him, I was kind of a mess. But then once like the church, we got married at St. Mary's, the doors opened and I saw him, then it was the best day of my life. Like that's when I calmed down. That's when everything was fine. And that's when the fun started. But before that, I was like a mess. You
just needed your man.
I needed him. Yeah, literally. And then at that point, I was like, wait, we should have done a first look. So then I wouldn't, you know what I mean? Be feeling that stress, but yeah, it worked out.
Yeah, it does take a little bit of stress off, but there's something to seeing him at the end of the aisle for the first time too. So that's really special.
And he did cry.
Of course,
I saw him go like this. I started laughing.
Oh my gosh, really?
Because it was just cute. We talked about if he was gonna cry or not. So when I finally saw his hand go up, I was like, oh my god. And there's a picture of me like chuckling as I'm walking down.
That's so cute. I love that. Do you have any tips or anything for future brides that are listening to this podcast episode?
Don't stress out.
Don't stress out. That's so much easier said than done.
I know. And whenever people told me that when I was like in the middle of planning and I was stressing, I was like, shut up, you don't understand. Like, you don't know how hard my life is right now. But it actually does work out and everything is fine. And there's just certain things that you're not going to know about until the wedding day. And it's just going to happen and it's just going to flow. And you can't plan everything. You can't control people. Like, just chill out. I wish I took that more seriously when people told that to me. Yeah, I know. I think as a bride, and I sometimes say this to my brides too, and I'm sure it gets annoying because you hear it constantly, but everyone's like, be present, like feel all the feelings, be in the moment. It's hard to do when you're actually going through it. But if you can really try to listen to those words, I think it's nice. I always give the advice that when people say to be present, it's like the concept of when you're at the rehearsal dinner, I think it's really easy for all the bridesmaids to chit chat about, okay, what time are we getting up in the morning? Like, who's doing their hair first? Like all these little logistics about tomorrow, when really you should be talking about the rehearsal dinner that you're currently at. Exactly. So things like that. Just don't think about the next event. Just be in the event that you're currently in. For sure. And it was a lot easier to be present on like the actual wedding day, like waking up and just like going from there. You can't plan anymore. There's nothing else going on. I was just nervous because I haven't seen Daniel and like he's like the calm half of the relationship. Yeah. But like once you're in the wedding day, it's much easier to be calm and be present, but it's the planning that gets in your head. Yeah. Because you're thinking of all these things. And then I'm like thinking of things that could go wrong that like aren't even possibilities. So you never know. Things can go wrong and you just can't plan for everything. You just can't. And then things did go wrong and I didn't even care. Like the singer was accidentally like introducing the bridal party wrong. And my planner came up to me and she's like, no big deal, but, and I was like, what can you do? You move on. As long as I get my name and Daniel's name right. That's so fine. Like whatever. Yeah. So true. Get the bride and groom right. Exactly. That's all that matters. And I think if you told me that that was going to happen before the wedding, I would have flipped. Yeah. But like day up, it's like, whatever. It's part of your story. Yeah. I feel like it's probably impossible to have nothing go wrong on a wedding day. Yeah. I mean, there's so many moving parts and there's so many reasons that people could be late and there's traffic and there's weather and there's just endless things that pop up that you weren't anticipating. But I'm so glad that you enjoyed your day. Thank you.
Yay.
It was the best.
So good. Do you have anything else you want to talk about with our listeners?
No, I just appreciate what you did for my dress. I was nervous because in between picking it up and then this was the first time I put it on since picking it up, which was like at least 6 months, I think.
Yep, from the shop to seeing me. Okay.
Yeah, and it fit me like a glove on the day. I didn't have to do this at all. I didn't touch it once. I was just dancing.
I'm so glad.
And
We took it in a lot.
Oh my, I lost the pocket so much. Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. And not once the entire day was like, oh, I wish I could use my pockets right now. Like as cool as I thought and was in the moment. No. But thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you.
So pretty in it.
And I love seeing your family and your sweet relationships. I just have so much fun doing what I'm doing. And you looked absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Of course.
This was great. And next up, we have bride Emily. Okay, so I've got another special guest here. Emily, can you please introduce yourself for us?
Of course, yeah. I'm Emily Reddick, now Spencer, and I got married August 31st of this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So exciting. How did everything go?
It was great, honestly. I couldn't have imagined anything going better and all of that. Like everything just went so well. The only thing I will say, we had 2 guys forget their dress shirts.
Oh my goodness, yes, you told me about.
But yeah, that was really the only thing that I would say that went wrong. But yeah.
It's like, go figure. Men have it so easy and they still screw it up sometimes. That's how it goes.
Sorted. It was all good. So
goodness, wow. Okay, so we are on the Dressing Up podcast after all. So I have a fashion related question for you.
Okay.
And it is, what is your favorite item in your closet right now?
I would have to say, because you altered 2 dresses for me, my wedding dress being one of them, and then my mom's dress being the other. We remade it and all of that. And I would say that one's probably actually my favorite right now because it just came out so good. And I was like, I loved how it fit and everything like that. And maybe one day, if I have a girl, maybe we'll make it into a christening dress, maybe in the future, if you want to do that.
Keep downsizing it.
Yeah.
So that was your mom's 1992 wedding dress that we did our little vintage redesign on, shortened it and everything, and you wore it to your rehearsal dinner.
Yes.
So what did everyone think of it at the party?
Loved it. Yeah. Everyone loved it and just loved that, how it came out and all of that. And just, it was just a really cool thing that people hadn't really heard of. And so once I saw it, I was like, I'm definitely doing that with either my grandma's or my mom's dress. And my mom's dress just happened to fit the best out of the 2. And so we just rolled with that one.
I love that. Love that they get a second chance at life.
Yeah.
It's great. It's like, what do we hold on to these things for if we're not going to use them?
Yeah, exactly. So my husband and myself, we decided we're gonna try and stay in shape well enough to then be able to fit into our outfits for years to come, so we can retake not necessarily photos, but like maybe a photo like put in a frame or something every year is like a anniversary kind of.
I love that. Pressure is on.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't zip all the way, just it's
no, that's it.
Yeah, just take a photo from the front.
Right.
I love that. That's so fun. If you could relive one moment on your wedding day, what would that be?
Yeah, I would think I would want to relive my first look with Daniel because we were so separate, like especially for like the morning, like I was doing hair and makeup with the girls, he was getting ready with the guys, and us girls, after we got hair and makeup done, we drove over to the venue and all of that. The guys were already there. Definitely, like as it got closer to that moment, I was like, I want to see Daniel and all of that. And he even has told me since that he was the same way with me. And so I definitely want to relive, I think, our first look because that was just really special and all of that. Because we did a whole private power reading afterwards and stuff.
Really?
So yeah. That would be probably the one moment I'd want to relive too, besides getting married, of course.
Yes.
But just that one was just the 2 of us and our photographer, really, and that would be the one I'd want.
It's really rare you're alone on your wedding day. I mean, the photographer is one person, but like just the 2 of you having that moment.
Yeah.
The rest of the day is so hectic and crazy.
It really is. Like I didn't believe it. And I would say if I had one thing of advice would be if you have a second pair of shoes that you're planning to wear, have someone remind you to change into them sooner than I did. Cause I was just going throughout the day. And by the time I put them on at like 1 in the afternoon, I forgot to change them until 10 o'clock at night. And we were almost done dancing at that point. And so at that point, it didn't really do anything.
Your feet were just toast.
Yeah, they were sore for at least a good 3 days. So
I've heard of people, like if you don't have open toe shoes, like I've heard of people's toenails falling off because you're so distracted that like your feet hurt so bad and you don't realize it till so late, like you're saying. I think that's where bridesmaids can be helpful. They can be like, hey, I got your shoes.
Well, I had one of them bring them over like during our dinner and stuff. And I was just like, no, I'm good. I'll be fine. And I just kind of completely forgot about them until I was like, my feet are really hurting at this
Yeah.
point. So
Yeah.
yeah, it worked out.
It always works out, right?
Mhm.
Your feet feel fine now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They've healed since.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so tell us a little bit about your actual wedding dress and like where you
Mhm.
bought it from. Just tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about it.
So I got my wedding dress originally from Becker's Bridal Outlet. I know they have two stores, one being like their main one, and then I got mine from their outlet in Lansing. Yeah, it was a really big journey of trying to find one because I'd gone shopping ahead of time with my family back in May before I bought my dress in, I believe, July timeframe. Just so they would have that experience. Like I really want my grandma to be part of that, even if it was more just to roll things out at that point.
Yeah.
And I tried a few local stores here and all of that as well, and just didn't find anything that really quite felt fully like me. Like I kind of knew what I wanted in terms of like a sweetheart kind of neckline, something with some sort of strap, because I don't know, strapless makes me nervous.
Yeah.
And then some that just didn't have like a crazy long train, had some sparkle to it because I just like a little bit of sparkle.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, once I put it on, I was like, okay, I think this is it. And there was an older lady also with her, I believe her granddaughter at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, that dress is so pretty and all of that good stuff. Because I was actually alone at this point. My mom had come shopping with me the weekend before. And then I was like, let me go here because their Becker's Bar was having a sale that weekend and all of that.
You actually went by yourself?
Yeah, I
Oh.
found mine by myself. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And so it was kind of nice having like this older lady. It was kind of like a grandma at the time was like, oh, this dress is
Oh.
so pretty. And I tried on a couple others and I put the one I ended up buying back on. And she's like, you came back out in it. Like, that's got to mean something. And she was just really sweet about it. And I called my parents. I was like, I'm on video calls. Like, I think it's this one. And they were like, what's holding you back from saying yes? And I was like, one, I think it's the biggest purchase I've ever made in my life on my own.
Yep.
Once they kind of talked through, like, it's one thing, like, you might rewear it, it might get remade into something else later. And I was like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I hear of that every so often that people go dress shopping by themselves. And I feel like it gives you a decent amount of clarity because you don't have like outside opinions
Yeah.
too much, other than that woman that was helping you.
Yeah.
Who knows where she is now, but
Yeah.
thanks to her,
Yeah.
she helped you decide on your actual wedding dress.
Yeah.
And you looked
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah,
stunning.
thank you. Thank you.
Looks so good.
Mhm.
Oh, that's awesome. Next question. What has been the most challenging aspect of wedding planning?
So I would say the most challenging part of wedding planning would be outside factors than wedding planning. My grandfather, he ended up having a stroke in January of this year. So I went down to help him for a week with that and like make sure he was okay and all that. So that kind of put like a delay on some things and just kind of like gave us a pause on wedding planning, just that way we could make sure he was okay.
Yeah.
And then later in June, July, he ended up coming down with pneumonia. And so I ended up going also to help then and make sure he was okay. And he did unfortunately end up passing away in early August, which again, I put a pause on wedding planning at that point too, just because it was such, it had been a lot at that point
Yeah,
this year. And so I was
that's a
like,
lot.
but luckily, like as you were kind of saying, like a tip, I would say plan early if you can. Having those breaks honestly didn't hurt us in the long run, I would say.
Good.
Because we
Yeah.
had been planning so much ahead of time. Like we had all the big things done early. And that made it really easy. Like when stuff happened to come up outside of life, you know, it happens. And
Gosh.
yeah, it made that much easier.
Wow.
So yeah.
I've never heard that specific advice before, but that is such a good one.
Yeah, because for us,
That
we
is so
got
good.
engaged in November of 2022, and we didn't obviously get married till August because I was still in school at the time and all of that. Let's just wait until like March of 23 and then we'll start doing things. So we got our venue pretty early, our photographer pretty early. And I think that having some of those big things done so early, we only really had like the guest list to figure out and like little details like what do we want our guest book to be, and just having all the big things that you needed contracted out was really helpful too.
Yeah, that's really good. And I think that there's two sides to what you're saying about getting things planned early and done, is that when life happens and when things come up, you can fully be invested in those moments and not have to worry about the wedding planning.
Exactly.
So you can enjoy those moments. So I'm sorry to hear about your grandfather,
I
though.
appreciate it. I appreciate it.
I'm glad you got to spend that time with him before you passed.
Absolutely.
All right, so I want to talk about actually on your wedding day, you're in your dress, hair and makeup's done.
Yeah.
How did you feel?
I would say I felt calm in a sense, because especially once I saw Daniel, it was just like any other day to me. Definitely nervous, especially before seeing Daniel and like before the ceremony. I was like, oh, freaking out a little bit. I'm like, oh, this is really
As we all do.
Yep. But no, I'd say most of the day I was fairly calm. Like even getting hair and makeup done, it didn't really hit me that I was getting married until like just before I was about to sit in the chair and actually get my hair and makeup done.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, yeah, I was eating breakfast, hanging out, and all that good stuff. And I was like, oh, this is happening today. And it
Oh
just
my
kind of hit me. And I was just like kind of quiet for a bit, getting
Yeah.
hair and makeup done and all of that. And I was really able to soak that kind of in.
Yeah. Did it
Yeah.
cause you to like cry and get emotional in that moment or just hit you internally
No,
and
it just
you're
kind of
okay?
hit me internally and more made
Uh-huh.
me nervous, I think, than anything.
Yeah.
For me, nerves has always been like, oh, I know I care. So like to
Yeah,
me, nerves has
right.
always been a good thing.
Right.
Um,
Right. Good perspective.
but no, I would say it was mostly calm. Like, and then once I saw Daniel, it was like, okay, we did photos. We did photos with our bridal party and all of that,
Yeah.
and then had the ceremony. And like once I was up there, I was like, okay, it's just us.
Yeah.
And it was really special. And even afterwards, like dinner, speeches, party, it was I felt fairly calm, and that was really nice. So
That's so good.
yeah.
I feel like being calm like that allows you to like
Mhm.
soak everything in more
Yeah.
than being stressed out and so focused on something
Right.
when really you're just wanting to sit back and watch everything
Right.
happen right in front of
Yeah.
you.
And we did take a moment to do that. Like there was one time during the dance and we were like, we just want to give our feet a break. Let's go sit outside, and we are able to just kind of see everything. Like some of his family came and joined us out there a little bit too for a few minutes, and we are able to just see everyone like getting food and
Were you like
dancing,
watching
talking.
from the windows
Yeah,
outside?
yeah. Because
That is
how
so
our
cute.
venue was set up is like you had two kind of like ballrooms that were split down the middle, and out back there was like patio area and grass that like people could go outside if they wanted to. And so we're just in this little patio
Nice.
area outside, and we were able to see straight into everything.
Yeah.
So we got to see one of my friends, she requested the wobble, so we got to see a group of them doing the wobble. It was quite
That's
fun.
a good one.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so fun.
Mhm.
And remind me, did you go on the honeymoon?
No, actually, we're doing that next month. So,
Oh, yay. Where
yeah.
are you going?
So we're going on a cruise out of Miami to the Dominican Republic, the Bahamas, and the US and British Virgin Islands. It's a 7-night cruise.
Wow.
Yeah.
So good. That'll be
Mhm.
very
Yeah,
relaxing.
we initially weren't gonna wait to do a honeymoon because we're like, that's the traditional thing is you go right away. But
Mhm.
we had other family weddings come up between Daniel's side and my side. And so we were like, let's just wait till January. And then that way, if work gets crazy, which it did for both of us, actually, we'll be less stressed now.
Yeah.
But we're excited to have like a week of like it just being us, and we can shut out the world for a week kind of
Yeah.
and
And
just
January is just
enjoy.
always slow
Mhm.
anyway. So I think that's
Yeah.
a great time to do that and feel
Yeah.
totally relaxed.
Mhm.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, Emily, do you have any particular vendors that you really enjoyed working with?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, obviously you being one of them, I'll
Thank
carry
you.
my dresses and stuff. And then obviously we talk about Becker's Bridal getting my dress there. I really loved our venue, the Italian American Cultural Society. They were really great to work with. And again, very inclusive of everything that we wanted in our day without being too crazy expensive, I would say.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, we were able to fit everything within like our budget and all that, which was great. And then our photographer, Aubrey York, she is amazing. And we actually found her on TikTok.
Really? I need to
Yeah,
get on
she's
TikTok
based out of
more.
Indiana, but she's super sweet, and we loved how our photos came out.
I'm
And
so glad.
yeah,
That's good. Anyone else?
definitely Yell Sweets. They did our cake, and it came out so good. We ended up getting a 2-tier cake, and we did not eat enough of it day of.
Yeah,
So
okay.
we ended up getting one whole tier back.
Oh my God.
So we ended up eating about half of it following the wedding, and then the other half we ended up freezing, and so we're eating every month now
I love
after,
that.
like kind of like on our
Nice.
monthly anniversary. So
Yeah.
we have it for a year. We'll see if it'll last a year.
Yeah.
Not, get freezer burn or anything, but
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes. And then I used your salon, Haley. She did great with my hair and makeup. I really loved it. And our officiant, Jessica Edmondson, or I guess I should say the Reverend Jessica Edmondson. She really loved getting to play on that title and stuff. So
You said this was your friend, right?
it was actually Daniel's friend originally. And then once Dale and I started dating, we all became friends, her and her boyfriend, and then us. So yeah.
Wow. Love that.
Yep.
And then Emily, who was your florist?
So we used English Gardens. Pat is great and really brought my vision to life. I'm not the biggest decorator, I would say. Like I just don't have that design side to me. And Pat really did a great job with that.
That's awesome. And what did you do for music on the wedding day?
So we use Spotify for like our playlists and all of that. However, my uncle, Joe Coolman, he did like all the DJ stuff for us and brought a bunch of equipment and rented some stuff that he needed. So was able to really make the day as we wanted it and had a great party after. So
That's
at the
awesome.
reception,
It
yeah.
was a family affair.
Yeah, it really
I love
was.
it.
And also, like, this day wouldn't really have happened without my parents and then Daniel's parents and his family and my family and just everyone really helping bring everything together and our bridal party and all of that. Really grateful for all of them in my life.
Yeah. It takes a village to put this
Yeah.
sort of event on, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
for sure, for sure.
Well, I've enjoyed this podcast episode
Yes.
so much.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you. Is there anything else you want to talk about or tell our listeners?
Just have fun with it. You only get to do this day once, and if something doesn't get done, I would say don't stress about it and just make sure you have the things that you really want in your day, and everything else is just kind of up in the air and
Just extra.
is extra. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Emily.
Of course.
And thank
Thank
you
you
for
so
coming to
much.
me and trusting me with your mom's dress
Yes.
and your own dress.
You can thank Becker's Bridal Outlet for recommending you.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you to Beckers.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This has
Of
been
course.
great.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, bye. And next up, we have bride Stephanie.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, Stephanie, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Yay. Well, thanks for being here on the podcast today. I'm so excited to talk more about your wedding. How's life going for you right now?
It's going good. Very busy, but what's new?
Yes, right. Hasn't slowed down.
Nope.
So I know I saw you recently to alter a bridesmaid dress for you. So that was fabulous. We got to debrief a little bit then, but I'm excited to kind of reminisce a little bit about your wedding day.
Yeah.
Okay, so Stephanie, as we are on the Dressing Up podcast, after all, I want to know what is your favorite item in your closet right now?
Okay, so I'm a very chronically online person, but TikTok kept showing me those Halara wide-legged, like the waffle knit pants. And so I got them. And I love them so much. I have them in 3 different colors. I can wear them to work, and I can also wear them like lounging on the couch, and it's amazing. And I love them so much. I'm literally wearing them right now.
Oh, that's so fun. They're just like comfy, cozy. I love those new sweat sets. They just look so cute, but also comfy. It's amazing.
I love them, and they're appropriate for work, which is even better.
Yeah, absolutely. If you could relive one moment on your wedding day, when would that be?
I think it would probably be reading my vows with my husband. Lots of tears were shed, very much one to cry. And it was just like super sweet. And we both had our own little inside jokes in them. And so we were crying and laughing, and it was just all of the emotions. And it was just, I had a lot going on that day. And it really just like brought me back and like centered me, which was really important before like walking down the aisle and like actually, being there and getting married.
That's a very special moment, of course. That's great. Okay, so what has been the most challenging aspect of wedding planning?
So for me, I feel like it was a little bit more of a unique situation. I was planning a wedding while I was also in college, which is pretty normal, but I was also planning a very large move from Louisiana up to Michigan. And then our wedding was back down in Louisiana. And so doing all of that and juggling like school and work, I got so overwhelmed, and I felt like I just like kept putting things off. And so I ended up putting off hiring some vendors and all of that jazz. And so I think the biggest thing was just like juggling everything. A lot of wedding planning I almost dreaded, not because I dreaded the wedding or anything. I felt like I had a million and two things going on. And so just trying to get there and like enjoy doing it and find what we wanted for our wedding day, I think was the most challenging thing for me. Just like being able to sit down and like actually enjoy it, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. I do love that you have this friendship with Bride Emily, who I've also recently interviewed on the podcast as well. So can you kind of talk about that a little bit, about how you and her were able to bounce ideas off of each other and kind of really use each other for support in the wedding planning process?
Yeah. So Emily and I met 2 years ago, I want to say, a little bit over 2 years ago. She and I actually married brothers. And so we had both gone to the same university as our husbands also. And so her and I really got to know each other through just like being there together. Her husband actually moved up here to Michigan before Emily graduated. So when all of that was going on was right around when they were looking to get engaged. And Stephen and I, my husband, had always said, we're going to get married in the fall of 2024. And we all knew it. And then Emily was like, well, Daniel and I are also looking to get married in the fall of 2024. And, we were both worried about how everything would go, but we kind of made a vow to each other almost as like future sister-in-laws to like really be there for each other and just like help in any way that we could. We were both bridesmaids in each other's weddings. And so it was just really special. I got to help her with some of the DIY things that she did, painting signs, a lot of long nights designing things and helping each other in any way we could. Emily was able to come with me to my dress fitting appointments, which was really important to me since no one else was able to come up here to go. And she was just a huge support system for me, especially after, moving across the country and not really having any friends up here. So it was really nice to just have her and have her help me through everything and also do the same for her wedding.
Oh gosh, that is just such a gift to be able to have that person by your side.
I could not have survived without her.
Yeah. And I loved seeing both of you for all these fittings that we did. You two were just a hoot. It was so sweet to see. I just loved it so much. Now, your wedding dress.
Yes.
Can you describe the style of it for us, where you got your dress from, and how some of the alterations turned out for you?
Yeah, so I got my dress from Lowe's Bridal in Brinkley, Arkansas. It was pretty traditional satin, straight white, off the shoulder with a little bit of a V that had some like mesh right there. It was very like form fitting on the top. It had like a little bit of a corset structure. And then at my waist, it kind of flowed out into more of a big gown. My alterations went amazing. While I was at my fittings, I was like, this dress is huge. There's so much fluff. I couldn't. And so they were like, you can have it taken out. And so I was very nervous, very skeptical, honestly, a little bit terrified. And Emily had actually recommended you. She was like, oh, I did a bunch of research and she's amazing. And I was like, I'm sold. Fantastic. And so you were able to take some of the bulk out and keep it where it didn't lay super flat and be structured super weird, but it was still beautiful and not giant. And the hem was fantastic. I don't think you had to take anything in on the top. You kept a good eye on everything, very like in detail, noticing when we were putting my dress on, like, I am not sure I like how those buttons are looking, like, because they were pulling a little bit weird, and just like being able to like quickly say, I'm going to fix that, and being able to have that fixed. I was like really scared when y'all were telling me about it. So I was like, I couldn't picture it in my head. And you were absolutely amazing in explaining everything and just making sure that everything was absolutely perfect.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you. So a couple things you talked about. I do get a lot of people that come in with ball gowns and they maybe want to take some of the poof layers out. So like the netting layers underneath. So we did that. And then that along with hemming it, like really just calmed down the skirt, which I think was a really nice look. And the back by the zipper, it's very common that wedding dresses have those buttons going down the back. And then they have the little like elastic loops in addition to a zipper. So the buttons are really just for show, but they were originally sewn on in such a way that made the elastic pull. It had like nothing to do with the fitting of the dress. It was, in my opinion, just wasn't like a great design of the dress. So when we were just talking about Emily and I were looking at that and we're like, I don't think this looks awesome. And I know you can't see it. So that's why I always try to have that really critical eye, because I don't want you to get your photos back and you're like, wow, I had no idea that looked bad back there. So I feel that it's my responsibility to make sure that the future you is also going to be happy with the way the dress looks in photos too. Well, thank you so much, Stephanie. That was so sweet.
I definitely want to thank all of my friends and family that were really there for me. Wedding planning by itself is hard enough, and just juggling everything that I was juggling. And on top of that, my mom passed when I was younger. And so having my aunt really step up and be that mother figure for me meant the world. Having Emily, I don't have a sister. And so having Emily really be there as a sister for me was amazing. My hairstylist, who did 2 trials just because I was like, I hate my hair. I hate the way that it looks. Her name's Casey Smith, out in New Orleans. If anyone listening is getting married in New Orleans or has any special events, she is an absolutely amazing person. So fun to vibe with on our wedding day. We actually retook photos in December. We just wanted some more pictures and more portraits of my husband and I. And she came on the 23rd of December, which is literally the day before a holiday and came to do my hair. And it was just so much fun catching up with her. And she's absolutely amazing. And I loved her so much.
That's so great. I love that. So tell us a little bit about your honeymoon or how you celebrated that.
Yeah, so we haven't gone on our honeymoon yet. We actually just planned an Alaskan cruise in August, which we are super, super excited for. Neither of us have gotten to go on a cruise in a long time, and neither of us have gone on an Alaskan cruise. So we are extremely excited for that. As far as like celebrating right after, so we got married on Saturday. We spent Sunday kind of hanging out with some friends and family before we left. And then we drove the 15-hour drive back to Michigan from Louisiana on Monday and Tuesday. And so we kind of just got to hang out, my husband and I and our cat, drive back up and reminisce on everything. And it was just really special getting to spend that time.
A little road trip honeymoon.
Yes.
That's awesome.
If I had to say anything to future brides, it would definitely be to just enjoy the day. I had quite a few things go wrong morning of. My dress actually ripped, which was heartbreaking, but it wasn't bad. We were able to fix it with just a little fashion tape, and it was in the little mesh area, so you couldn't really tell unless you knew what you were looking for. There was a lot of things that went wrong, but the most important thing was that we were together and we were getting married, which we had been waiting, over 5 years for, and just being able to be together with all of our friends and family. You never really get to see all of your friends and family all together very often in your life. And so that was just like really amazing to have everyone there and to just really celebrate together and celebrate our love and the journey that the last 5 or 6 years has taken us on. Things are going to go wrong. That's life. But just remembering that those aren't the things that you're going to remember. You're going to remember seeing your husband's face for the first time. You're going to remember talking about that day and just dancing with your friends and family and having a good time. You're not going to remember the little things as time goes on.
Yes, absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned the dress situation there. So a lot of wedding dresses right now have these mesh pieces right at the center front, like a little V, a little plunging neckline, something like that. Stephanie, if you don't mind me saying, it was when you were putting the Boombas in.
Yes.
Okay, women, we all know what we're talking about. So just a word of advice to just be like extra careful when you're putting your dress on the wedding day, especially with those Boombas and you're like opening up the neckline and everything. I felt so bad that this was just like an unfortunate thing that happened for you. And I would never wish that on anyone. So it's really a bummer. But I love that you were able to move past it and just continue the day on and just be able to overlook that a little bit to be able to enjoy your day.
Yes, I'm not gonna lie, very difficult to not break down and cry and ruin my makeup. This is like one of the most important pieces of clothing that you'll ever wear. And I was just so upset and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if we can fix this. Emily was trying to call you right on vacation, and so it was just all over. But it all worked out in the end, which I'm really fortunate for.
Yes, absolutely. You're able to put a little tape in there or something. For future brides listening to this, if something like that happens, like what I would probably advise, which isn't ideal, I mean, nothing's ideal in that situation, is maybe like cut out whatever piece kind of ripped, I suppose. But I'm glad you did bring it to me and we totally fixed it again after the wedding, of course, but before you took your second set of photos.
And it looks fantastic in our new photos, and you can't even tell that it's not the original piece. We just took some fashion tape and kind of taped it to my body. It worked for the ceremony. So
yeah. Yes, absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Stephanie, for being on this podcast. Is there anything else that you want to tell our listeners? Any other thoughts about your wedding day?
Just to bask in all of it. It's an amazing time and it's stressful leading up to it, but just try to enjoy it. Try to take as much of the stress off of you as you can. It is okay to delegate. That's something I've always had to tell myself. Your friends and family, they want to help you. Your husband wants to help. Let people help you when they're offering. You shouldn't have to take, all of the stress and all of the challenges on your own. You should just be able to enjoy this time, enjoy your time as a bride, and really enjoy your wedding and celebrating with your husband and all of your loved ones.
Well, that's what it's all about, right?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks, Stephanie. Thank you all so much for listening. Aren't these women just fabulous? I could chit chat about weddings all day, every day, I swear. Well, I actually do. That's actually what I do for work. If you are a bride listening to this, first of all, I would love to help you with your wedding dress alterations or custom dress or whatever project you want help with. But look forward to this after your wedding. If you are a bride listening to me, your wedding has already happened. DM me or look out for your emails. If you haven't seen the email about getting booked onto this podcast, just shoot us a DM or an email and we'll go ahead and help you get scheduled if you would like to be on the podcast. And if you have any other questions on anything, as always, reach out to us. I will say email is best. I am very busy throughout the day, bridal appointments and sewing and getting all the things done, that honestly, email is the best way. Thank you all so much for listening. I'll talk to you next time. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this episode has allowed you to approach the world with greater confidence in your own personal style. If you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out through email or the inquiry form on the website. I hope you are all ready to go and get dressed up. I look forward to sharing more dressing up tips with you in future episodes. Thanks so much.